Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 2 in this series between Adelscott and ThorZain. This game 2 taking place on Shakuras Plateau. Adelscott sticking with orange and the orange Protoss player here at the 10 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have ThorZain switching the light blue over here on the bottom right hand side as the light blue Terran, and now Adelscott asking, why did you not go siege tanks in the last game, or why not some siege tanks? I lost because of bad start. So ThorZain saying that he lost because of a bad start, not because of unit composition. And now he says have fun. So ThorZain gonna try to bring it in game 2 in this series. And let's see if it will be Broughton or if ThorZain will fall prey to Adelscott very aggressive expansion attempts. Shakuras Plateau, one of those maps that have a lot of expansions. You got to be careful, especially on Shakuras Plateau, just because of the sheer number of expansions available to all the players. There is this low ground expansion here right outside your main ramp, and then there is also these expansions here. One expansion that is kind of protected, but also in the center of the map as well. There are also these happy face, the north and south happy face expansions. 2 eyes, there's that little happy face right there. The command center or the nexus making the nose. And then finally there's the other starting locations as well. So all in all, I believe there are 14 expansions on this map. Yeah, 14 expansions on this map, or 14 mineral patches, some of them having 8 mineral patches, some of them having 7. So I could go through all of that, but let's get to the game instead. Adelscott opening up with the standard gateway build, 16, getting another pylon, so it's going to be the second pylon and then a cybernetics core. Meanwhile, back over here, ThorZain opting to go for Marine, upgrading to an orbital command, a pretty standard build as well, making sure that there are no pylons down over here for high ground or low ground pylon powering into cannons, which is always very difficult to deal with until you get siege tanks. We can now see this one SCV on the way out, moving in order to do some scouting, and now we also have Adelscott is playing in a tournament and doesn't even know that there's money involved in the tournament. How cute is that? So, not 100% sure where this game came from. It may have been from Craft Cup, but I'm not sure. And now ThorZain is asking to play, please. So Adelscott now moving out, and ThorZain trying to be professional. Adelscott having a little bit of fun against his opponent instead of simply talking, saying good luck, have fun, and now doing the little sad face. ThorZain now currently just training up more SCVs, probes being trained, a Marauder now making its way out as well, and there is an SCV on the low ground opting to do an expansion. So we are expanding a mere 4 minutes into this game. Instead of going for any units or an additional factory, he's going to go into a Marine, Marauder, and then a Reaper. I like this unit combination, especially because the unit combinations counter the Protoss units very well. The Reaper obviously better than the Zealots, and then you have the Stalker against the Stalker, or the Marauder against the Stalker, and then the Marine is just there to soak up a little bit of damage and also deal damage back. The Reaper now making its way out across the field is going to be able to jump up and down the cliffs and do some scouting as well. The key question will be, how much scouting will ThorZain really be able to do with this one Reaper? The Reaper going to jump back up and then perhaps try to come back here to see if a Nexus is in play. The Nexus is there, and then perhaps hug along this dark corner around the side and then make its way into the mineral line. That would be a very gutsy move, as the Stalkers, I do not believe the Stalkers yet know what's coming. They're just simply going to be guarding that ramp there, and they're going to be able to see that Reaper come in. The Reaper, however, just going to simply hang over there. He did see the Nexus expansion and knows that there is not going to be that many early 4 gates. He doesn't have to worry all too much. We do see additional gateways being warped in though, so Adelscott placing a little bit of distance between his gateways, allowing Adelscott to be not reveal his complete strategy in one one successful scanner sweep. Back here, already upgraded to an orbital command, getting a second bunker. Marines now making their way down the ramp as we are going into a mass barrack strategy. So we have 2 additional racks right now, stim pack now being researched, and also a factory. So I'm assuming that ThorZain will be going for a starport with a reactor in order to supplement his mass infantry army. He is pretty well fortified down over here. He knows that he doesn't need to get too much defense just because he saw that Nexus and how early that Nexus was. And ThorZain currently mining off of 18 mineral patches, 15 mineral patches, as there was only 7 mineral patches at the natural expansion as opposed to 8. Adelscott running off of 4 gateways, not training up or producing any additional tech buildings, only gateways so far, and I don't even see a forge. We can see that the reactor is being built by that factory. Starport currently being built right alongside it, so it is going to be double training medevacs. We are getting more tech labs, another tech lab and another reactor as well, so it is going to be Marauder, Marine with medevac. Once you account for all of those reactors, I believe the Reaper now going to try to come in, able to get off 1 kill, and wasn't able to get too many kills off, but he did see at least a probe saturation here. Taking a look at the unit combinations, 36 SCVs compared to 40. Adelscott still has no idea what exactly he is facing or what he is up against at this stage and time. ThorZain still training up more SCVs. No, not training up any, training up 2 SCVs right now and also getting that engineering bay. And I believe that ThorZain will be going for a drop in just a moment. He needs to get that combat shield though. There we go. And then followed by that concussive shell, perhaps when he has enough gas. It looks like he does have enough gas right now. Just waiting on the minerals. He is also supply locked, so he is training up some additional supply depots as well. So Marauders and Hellions being trained, medevacs being trained, no concussive shell just quite yet, but I believe that will be researched in just a moment. 3 Stalkers now making their way out, and Adelscott doing a good job of just keeping track of his opponent's army movements by activating both of these Zelnaga watchtowers. But ThorZain moving out with those medevacs. The medevac is not going to be revealed though by this Zelnaga watchtower here, so that may become an issue. 1 probe perhaps going to try to set up some proxy pylons down over here as well. And no, he does not set up a proxy pylon here, so he will not see this drop come into play. We now see the combat shield is nearing completion. Ghost Academy also and Vikings both countering High Templar, and it will counter both High Templar and Colossus if they are trained. Immortals are now being queued up as well, and now out moves this army. The wrong time by Adelscott to move out, and now you can see the drop already coming into play. The Marines and Marauders are already dropping back, moving back and forth, just trying to drop off more units, and now Gus able to use stim and now moving out very quickly. Now going to try to deal some damage, going to take down this pylon over here. Zealots and Stalkers are now trying to come back. Not quite sure what exactly ThorZain really did. He didn't deal that much damage. He only took down 2 assimilators and 2 pylons, and that was essentially it. We can now see that Stalkers are now looking for that medevac. He doesn't see that medevac though, as he's looking the back over here, and now these units are just simply hiding in the brush. Nicely done. Perhaps ThorZain is going to try to move out with another push. We can now see Stalkers over here. Are they going to stim? No, they are. They're going to stim and now engage and now move back up to that high ground and perhaps start dropping them on that high ground. And nicely done once again. Stalkers are back over here. Marines and Marauders trying to fight back and forth, now trying to get away from these low ground Stalkers. More units are currently being warped in. Another Stalker getting taken down. More units still warping in as well. So those medevacs are just trying to heal up the rest of this army here. Another Marauder getting taken down. There are a lot of Marines. The Marines are not upgraded yet. 1-0. Going after probes now one at a time. And now Adelscott taking a fair amount of damage, now down to 34 probes, as the majority of his army is over here on this bottom left-hand corner. I thought that was another drop coming in. 2 Vikings now on patrol. Production-wise, we see more Immortals now being trained. Another Viking will be landing in the back, perhaps, to try to deal some damage. You can see that the Vikings are just doing some scouting there. No, not even going to land, just flying around the map, getting as much scouting information as possible. There are units here. Pylon will be able to warp in units up onto that high ground, so this may become an issue, as there is one observer that is able to gain sight onto this high ground as ready, but we now see a Viking landing over here, already getting some kills. The probes are coming off the mineral line in order to try to fight back. The Viking does not have any armor there, and now units quickly warping in here, Marauders and Marines, and now in comes a Ghost. Ghost needs to get off an EMP shockwave. There's that EMP shockwave against that very tight ball of units there, and now Marines and SCVs need to engage. There are medevacs over here. Marines and SCVs trying to pull around. More EMP shockwave, depleting all of the shields. Marines and Marauders on that high ground continue to deal more damage, and those SCVs are also coming in, joining in on the fight as well. SCVs are a little bit too gung-ho, should turn around, and are now turning around, but more of them are getting sacrificed. Army-wise, 2,300 versus 1,675. One bunker not and canceled in time. Vikings coming back into that ground mode. More damage being dealt. No concussive shells on those Marauders, and that's really the problem for ThorZain. ThorZain does not have those concussive shells, so those Stalkers are able to attack move with relative ease, and that is going to be the problem as more Zealots are now warping up onto that high ground, dealing more damage. More Marauders are engaging back and forth, and now without those concussive shells, those Stalkers are able to come and go as they please. That is a big surprise there, as ThorZain is now just wandering around, and his medevacs are low on hit points. There is one observer right there, and now he can probably see that there is a pylon right there. No, doesn't see the pylon, and he doesn't see the units warping in, and that is a problem. More units can continue to warp in once again, perhaps causing some more damage to the mineral line. There are no units nearby here. That one Zealot has its work cut out. SCVs now coming around, doing a nice quick surround there. SCVs are repairing. I believe that one Zealot will be able to get off. Only one SCV, or sorry, that one Zealot getting off one SCV kill so far. And as this game continues, 1,200 army versus 2,600 army, as now the Marauders and Marines are on the move. Concussive shells still not being researched. That is a very, very big surprise. Perhaps he just simply forgot about it, but there are a lot of barracks still training up a lot of units. Another command center dropping in some additional mules. You can see ThorZain mining with 7 mules right now in order to just get as many minerals as possible, and that is a lot of production. You're going to see a large army coming in from ThorZain in the next couple of minutes, and as those mules are able to mine out those particular mineral patches much more quickly. I'm still surprised. Where is that command center? Command center now being lifted off, trying to establish an expansion over here. Marines and Marauders are upgraded 1-1. And taking a look at Adelscott, Adelscott doesn't have any upgrades on any of his units. So it's going to be 1-1 against 0-0 units. And now a medevac doing a great job keeping one Marine alive. Vikings are nearby, and those Vikings need to snipe down this Colossus in order to make sure that that splash damage doesn't start to rack up. You can see 3 Vikings in the air getting a round of those Lancer torpedoes. Both sides fighting. In comes some force fields. Nicely done. But an EMP shockwave stopping any more, and the Marines and Marauders just shooting up onto that high ground. Adelscott trying to fight back using those force fields, but that is not going to be enough, and Adelscott says GG. ThorZain winning this game with very, very strong harassment, and also being able to fend off against a pylon warp in onto the high ground. That one observer that was able to spot up onto that high ground and allow those Zealots to warp in caused a little bit of an issue for ThorZain, as ThorZain was forced to fight between 2 separate locations. I like ThorZain's strategy on getting Vikings and Ghosts. That is the real. That is really the real weakness. Really the real weakness for Terran infantry. It is Psystorm and Colossus, and when you have both of the proper counter units and use them effectively, the second part being very, very important, using them effectively, you can really get a lot of mileage out of Marines and Marauders. Marines and Marauders is a very, very common play right now. A lot of people say that it's a little bit boring, but it really is an effective strategy. If you can compare his army combination compared to the Protoss player. The Protoss player mainly had gateway units and then had had observers and immortals, which is the same thing as Vikings and medevacs. So really the same unit combinations coming in from both sides. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Adelscott and ThorZain here on Shakuras Plateau.